Hey everyone, welcome back to Capybara channel, your go-to source for self-improvement insights gleaned from the wisdom of great books. This week, we're diving into Atomic Habits by James Clear. You know how it is. Habits are a double-edged sword. They can lead you to a better life, or they can hold you back year after year. It's no exaggeration to say that if you can master your habits, you can master your life. So, let's take a moment to reflect. Are you making progress every day? Or are you basically the same person you were last year, stuck in a rut? Building and maintaining habits isn't a new topic, and many of you are probably familiar with Atomic Habits. Before reading this book, I'd encountered plenty of similar books on habit formation. Some focused on psychology, others on practical techniques and tips. What sets Atomic Habits apart is the author's clear, concise, and well-reasoned approach. One of the most valuable takeaways I got from this book is that changing yourself means changing your identity. Instead of relying on willpower to force yourself into a new routine, it's better to change from the inside out. Let's break this down. Part 1. Live like a bamboo shoot. The famous American psychologist William James once said, "Sow an act and you reap a habit, sow a habit and you reap a character, sow a character and you reap a destiny." Good habits build a good life. But often, we ignore these tiny changes, convinced that big successes require massive action. So, we overlook the power of small, daily improvements. This leads to procrastination. Another blow is that we often lack the perseverance to see through these small changes because we don't grasp their potential. But these small things are how we generate compound interest. The book mentions a formula. If you improve by 1% every day for a year, you can multiply your progress by 37 times. Conversely, if you slip by 1% every day for a year, your current ability will dwindle to almost zero. Some might think this is a simplistic analogy, but I urge you to hold those thoughts and test this formula yourself. Until you actually start changing, any premature conclusion is just an excuse. Tiny changes can create massive results because consistent habits are like compound interest for your life. Imagine this hidden compound interest graph. When we do things, we tend to idealize our actions, picturing our goals as a straight upward line because we want instant gratification. But in reality, forming a good habit is a curve. Initially, when you're adjusting, the curve dips downward. Without seeing much difference, people get discouraged, wondering if their efforts are worth it. This downward curve is like a valley of despair. Many people fall into it and give up. But you need to believe that if you can persevere and push through that tipping point, results will surely follow. This is a common characteristic of any compound interest process. The strongest results always come late. Just like the law of quantity and quality in philosophy, quantitative changes, when they reach a certain point, transform into qualitative differences. This threshold is the point where you break through the hidden compound interest period. We cultivate our habits like bamboo shoots. For the first 5 years, no matter how ideal the environment, we barely notice if it's growing. But after 5 years, like magic, it begins to grow at a rate of 30 centimeters a day and can reach a height of 27 meters in just 6 weeks. Turns out, those 5 years were spent building potential. The bamboo rooted deeply, waiting for the day to shoot up. The deeper the roots, the taller the plant. With this kind of transformation, who wouldn't become a talented individual? So, live like a bamboo shoot. Remember, even the smallest changes have value. Part 2. Focusing only on the goal will lead to failure. If you only look at the outcome you desire mentally, it's like trapping yourself in a narrow viewpoint. The underlying assumption behind any goal is, once I achieve this goal, I'll be happy. This mindset is like a chain, delaying your happiness until you reach that goal. But once you reach it, you won't be truly happy. Sometimes, you'll be met with a strange sense of emptiness instead. That's because now you're fixated on the next milestone. When you're focused on a specific goal, your motivation becomes, I must achieve this. And this motivation pushes you forward. But once you reach the destination, that fire within you dies. That's why many people revert to their old ways, falling back into their old habits after accomplishing their set goals. You need to remember that forming a habit isn't about achieving a goal to win at all costs, but rather about building a system of habits with a cycle that gradually and continuously spreads. How to build such a system is what we'll explore in the next section. But first, you need to stop thinking about the outcome when you're forming any habit. The best way to maintain your motivation is to focus on the process, to focus on the present. Don't save happiness for later, and don't assume you'll only feel satisfied after achieving success. You don't need to wait for a particular moment to allow yourself to be happy. You can be truly happy right now, and throughout the process of maintaining that habit. This mindset will make it easier for you to persevere. Part 3. The secret to maintaining habits. Know your identity. Research shows that behind every system of action, there's a system of beliefs, and behavior inconsistent with your identity won't last. What does that mean? Pay attention to the words identity and beliefs. Your beliefs and your identity have a profound impact on the behavioral changes you make. Before you want to do something, let your belief become that person. In other words, before you implement a habit, define who you want to become. Your beliefs about who you are determine your actions. The stronger your belief, the more consistent your behavior will be. The more you repeat that behavior, the more your belief will be reinforced and your identity will become clearer. This is a sustainable and long-term cycle of growth. It allows you to continuously develop and guides you to make changes that can transform your destiny. For example, if you want to maintain the habit of running, you need to identify as an athlete. If you want to read more to write books or create content, you need to embrace the identity of, I am a creator. If you don't know who you are before you act, you'll only get so far, and the process will feel difficult and discouraging. So remember, habits are a reflection of who you are. Understand yourself. First, know who you want to become, and then use the belief of who you are to establish a system of habits that will create a happy and fulfilling life for you. From this perspective, let's shift gears a bit and recognize that we need to stop labeling ourselves or others. For example, parents often want their children to study hard and be self-disciplined. Every time they see their child watching TV or playing with gadgets, they yell, "Why are you so lazy about your studies?" The labels I'm referring to, like lazy, sloppy, or playful, act like prophecies. If you keep labeling someone repeatedly, it can become their reality. Part 4. Get down to the basic logic of habit formation. The book, The Power of Habit, also touches on this logic. We need to understand how habits work before taking action. This isn't just a point of knowledge. You can actually delve into the underlying nature of habits. And if you don't understand this, you'll remain stuck in the middle of the process. So, what are the 4 steps? They are cue, craving, response, reward. Let's illustrate with an example. When you hear the Facebook notification chime, that's the cue. As soon as you hear the chime, you want to know who messaged you and why. That's the craving. Then you reach for your phone and open the message. That's your response. Finally, when you finish reading the message, you learn who contacted you and what they wanted, which satisfies your need, and that's the reward. Think about it for a moment. Don't you find that most of our daily actions follow the 4-step principle of habit formation? This includes everything from putting on clothes, tying shoes, turning on lights, brushing teeth, snacking. The list goes on. The scary thing is that once this process starts, it's hard to stop. For example, you tell yourself, "Tonight, I'm going to read 20 pages of a book." But as soon as you sit down on the sofa, you immediately reach for your phone. Then you lie down, turn on the AC, and open Facebook. After that, you scroll through TikTok, and before you know it, the whole evening is gone. These actions are part of a chain of behavior that you've already established as a habit. It's automatic, you don't have to think about it. Therefore, you need to understand the working principle of a habit to overcome bad habits and take the right action to build good habits. So, what is the right way to act? Let's explore the 4 steps to maintaining a habit. Part 5. 4 steps to maintaining habits. The first step is to make it obvious. The strongest sense in humans is sight, accounting for 90% of our overall sensory capacity. If you can leverage the power of visual perception, you can successfully execute the cue stage of habit formation. Let's say you want to develop the habit of reading. But if your books are piled up in a corner and you only see them when you need them, how can you cultivate this habit? To make a habit a vital part of your life, you must make it visible. I personally place my books in all the places where I can see them and easily access them. For example, on the sofa, on the TV stand, on my bedside table, my desk, my bookshelf, the spots closest to my eye level. I also carry a small book in my backpack so I can easily grab it and read whenever I have free time. The same principle applies when you want to change a bad habit. That means eliminating the triggers that activate your life. For instance, let's say you crave snacks in the afternoon, especially those of you who work in offices. But instead of buying rice crackers, sugary snacks, or sugary drinks, replace them with fruits and nuts and place them where you can easily see and grab them. This way, you can replenish your energy while maintaining your figure and health. No more snack cravings, no more easy access to video games, no more using addictive applications that waste your time. When you have no clear and constant reminders, actions are less likely to be triggered. As a result, your bad habits will gradually be eliminated. Then comes the second step. Make it irresistible. There's a crucial formula to inspire you to implement a good habit: habit stacking and combining it with your interests. Take a look at this formula on the screen. Habit stacking is, after this current habit, I'm going to do a habit I need to change. For example, after taking off my work clothes, I'll put on my running shoes and go to the gym. After finishing this cup of coffee, I'll read for an hour, and so on. As for combining it with interests, it means that after a habit I need to do, I'll do a habit I want to do. I often use this method because I'm really lazy about journaling, but I love taking pictures. So I take pictures of everything beautiful, interesting, or cool that I see every day. Then I write a few lines to accompany the picture, which makes my memories more colorful, and so I've maintained both habits with great enjoyment. In this case, journaling is the habit I need to do, and taking pictures is the habit I want to do. In psychology, this is called interest bundling, which is a concept developed by Professor David Rimus, meaning using high-frequency behaviors to reinforce low-frequency behaviors. This approach makes habit execution more appealing. So what do you do when you find it hard to control your cravings? The answer lies in leveraging the power of a group. Tap into our innate genetic memory. Human ancestors couldn't survive alone. Whether you're facing a wild animal or a disaster, you always need your tribe members to feel safe and comfortable. As we discussed in the Real Soccer Book video, the need for close relationships is deeply ingrained in us. Therefore, borrow the power of a group to eliminate bad habits. For instance, join a running group, a group with shared interests, or a training class. If you don't fully participate, you might be reminded or even kicked out of the group. Of course, to avoid this outcome, some people become more diligent and active. Now, let's move on to step number 3. The third step in habit transformation is to make it easy. The biggest principle here is to reduce difficulty. For example, if you want to stick to a gym routine, don't waste time comparing which gym is cheaper, which has more equipment, which has a better atmosphere. Just go to the closest one to your house, the one you can easily get to. Minimize your resistance to action by optimizing your environment. Additionally, stick to the 2-minute rule from the very start of implementing a habit. You need to understand that there are certain decisive moments in life. They can make a big difference in your life. The moment you decide to cook or order takeout, the moment you decide to bike or drive to work, the moment you decide to scroll on your phone or read a book. These turning points in your life are all around you. Whether a day is good or bad often depends on these decisive moments. If you can accumulate more of these right moments throughout your day, they'll ultimately lead you to a completely different outcome. Therefore, the author advises us that when starting a new habit, don't spend more than 2 minutes on it to avoid giving up. Instead of forcing yourself to read every night before bed, make it read 1 or 2 pages. The meaning of the 2-minute rule is to ensure you take that first, tiny step. Maintaining a habit is really difficult, but if it starts easily, the next action will follow. Of course, small, humble actions are actually very powerful. Believe that once you start doing the right things, everything will become much easier. And conversely, if you want to get rid of bad habits, you must create obstacles for them. If you can't stop checking your phone, uninstall all the time-wasting apps. If you can't stop playing games, make it really difficult to open a game. Finally, the last step in habit transformation is to make it enjoyable. We must understand why bad habits are so hard to break. They provide instant gratification. When you play video games, you achieve victories as you conquer levels. Eating sweets temporarily satisfies your cravings. However, our brains often underestimate distant threats, like the frog being boiled in water. The water heats up slowly, and it doesn't realize it's going to die. Bad habits provide immediate pleasure, but their long-term consequences are terrible. Good habits are the complete opposite. Therefore, be cautious of things that can be enjoyed quickly. The sooner you realize this, the more you should question whether it will bring long-term benefits. To make good habits attractive, all you need to do is add a little instant happiness to any habit that brings long-term benefits. And conversely, add discomfort and unhappiness to bad habits. One effective way to increase instant satisfaction is to track your habits regularly. It's very simple. Take a habit tracker and stick it on the wall where you can easily see it. Mark it as complete every time you successfully complete an action. This act, while simple, is actually a form of rewarding your spirit, helping you to constantly improve. However, I want to emphasize two things. First, persevere with effort rather than giving up. No matter what, don't give up, because only by consistently persevering do you have the chance to maintain your identity. Remember, giving up twice in a row is the same as starting a bad habit. Second, don't let your metric become your goal. When the metric becomes the goal, it's no longer a good metric. This is a very famous management quote. For example, when a company's entire focus is on KPI, employees will only try to compensate for that indicator. But they won't actually be able to do the same work. If you're just going through the motions to complete the habit tracker, it's meaningless. Tracking is just the beginning and a way to help us form good habits, but don't view it as the ultimate goal. Don't live to track, and don't live to focus on goals alone. Part 6. Important reminders. Overall, I think this book's summary video is pretty comprehensive. But I still want to give you some important reminders that I gleaned from reading this book. First, the entire book emphasizes that habit formation is about daily accumulation, building compound interest, and investing time consistently. But our time is finite. So how do we know if we're investing in the right way and the right habits? We need to consider the differences between individuals in this life, because everyone has their own path. Your first task is to discover the path you excel at, the aspects of your life that need improvement and change. The book suggests, do what you find interesting, even if others find it boring. The sign that you're good at something isn't just whether you enjoy it, but whether you can handle the difficulties of that task more easily than most people. Others find it hard, but you find it a breeze. It doesn't faze you. Or when you're doing it, you feel a sense of fulfillment. The second thing I want to say is don't become overly reliant on habits. You need to be aware that habits have their own pitfalls. The truth is, sometimes when something becomes natural, the outcome can become mundane. If a person is stuck in a daily routine, doing things 1, 2, 3, becoming automatic, excessive dependence on habits can prevent us from making breakthroughs. So, how can we avoid this? The answer is to not expect your habits to be a straight line, but to expect them to be a curve, then another curve, then another curve. To do this, you must intentionally practice. As for intentional practice, you can learn more about this in this video. I'll leave the link here. The highest state of intentional practice is being able to enter the flow state. Flow isn't a habit. Flow is something you need to focus completely and absolutely on, a process of forming the most correct habit, bringing yourself into the flow state, and then mastering it. But the key is to continue practicing intentionally to improve and gradually become a master. The last thing I've learned is that we need to constantly reflect and reassess ourselves, and we must not let our identity hijack us. You see, I've previously emphasized the importance of beliefs and personal identity when forming a habit, but if you become too dependent on it, you'll be incredibly lost, disappointed, and weakened when you fail to achieve it. In closing, let me summarize this video. These little habits don't simply add up. They multiply, stack on top of each other, and ultimately create synergistic effects, completely transforming your life. Once you form a new habit, it triggers a chain of other positive habit changes. It happened to me. Once I developed the habit of reading, my life underwent profound changes, with a huge impact on me. If you can find a good starting point in your life, commit to it and make your life dramatically different. That's something amazing and reliable. I hope we all find success, uncover the lever for our lives, and use the habit building system as a tool to make our lives more meaningful. Thank you for listening. If you found this video helpful, please share it with others who need it. Show your support with a like. Don't forget to leave a comment below with your thoughts or feedback so everyone can learn together. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification to catch my latest videos every week. Once again, thank you. See you in the next video.